Okay, today we're going to learn how to solve two-step equations. We've learned how to solve one step, and if you know how to do those, you'll be able to do two-step. Okay, so what's first? Well, if you got two steps, you must break the equation into two steps. Step 1. The first step will always be either adding or subtracting. The second step will always be either multiplying or dividing. Now don't get this confused with order of operations because order of operations is backwards. Okay, so I'll try to explain it in another way. The first thing we are going to do is we're going to do the adding and subtracting step first. But if you look here, you're trying to find x. Well, you got -3 that's in the way, and you have 5 that's also in the way. We're going to get rid of the one that's farthest away from x. So right now, -3 and x are kind of snug. So let's go ahead and get rid of that 5. It's a little bit farther and easier to take away first. So, if you don't remember your one-step equation rules, go back and watch the videos. We know now that if we have +5, to get rid of +5, you have to subtract 5. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Opposites cancel out, which will leave us a -3x on the left, and that is going to be equal to, let's keep change, and 2 plus a -5 will give us a -3. Now, it is now broken up into one more step. So x, right now -3 is in the way. To get rid of that multiplying by a -3, you're going to divide by a -3. If you do it to the left, you do it to the right. Opposites cancel out, leaving us with x is equal to, and a -3 divided by a -3 is a +1. And that is your answer. Example number 2. Well, this may look a little different, and that is because, well, we do only have one step, and it's subtraction. But if you look, we have some like terms, so we're going to combine our like terms first. Let's keep change. 3y plus a -8y is going to give us a -5y, and bring down your equals 25. Now we're just left with the one-step equation. To get rid of the multiplying by a -5, you're going to divide by a -5. The opposite operation. Opposites will cancel out, leaving you with y. On the other side, you also have to divide by a -5, which will give you a -5. And that is your answer. You have found y. Example number 3. Before we can solve this, we got to clean it up. And we're going to use this distributor property to do this. So remember, with the distributor property, you're going to multiply, and you're going to distribute that 3 to everything in the parentheses. So you're going to say 3 times x, and if you notice, I keep change because that makes things easier. Do you have to? No, but it just makes things easier so you don't forget that negative sign. So 3 times x is 3x, and that'll be plus 3 times the -4, which is -12. So if we clean it up, that leaves us with 3x plus the -12 equals 9. It could also say 3x minus 12 equals 9. Either one. Now we're going to solve doing our adding and subtracting step first. Like I said earlier, you got to get rid of that 3, and you got to get rid of that -12 to get x by itself. Right now that -12 is farther away and easier to grab and take away. So how do you get rid of a -12? You add 12. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Opposites will cancel out, leaving us with 3x on the left, and that's going to be equal to 21. Now we have one more step. That's 3x, you're multiplying, so to get rid of it, you have to divide by 3, and then what you do to one side, you do to the other. Opposites cancel out, x is going to be equal to 7. And that is your answer. Example number 4. Now remember, here we're going to do the same steps. Don't let the fractions confuse you. Still, you have to get rid of that dividing by 8, and you have to get rid of that -1/2 to get x by itself. We're going to do the adding and subtracting step first, the one that's easier to grab, the easier one to take away. To get rid of a minus 1/2, you're going to add 1/2. Don't let the fraction scare you. Still the same steps. If you add 1/2 to the left, you have to add 1/2 to the right. Opposites will always cancel out, leaving you with x over 8 on the left, and that's going to be equal to, add your numerators, -6, keep your denominator 2. Now, if you look, -6 over 2 can be simplified, and now you have x divided by 8 is equal to a -3. -6 divided by 2 is a -3. Now I'm going to take that equation, take it to the next page, because we're out of room, and we got to get rid of that 8. If you notice, we're dividing by 8. How do we get rid of a dividing by 8? We do the inverse, multiply by 8. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Opposites will cancel out, leaving us with x, and that's going to be equal to a -24. And that is our answer. Same steps. Don't let the fractions scare you. Okay, just like in the other videos, I'm going to show you how to check a two-step equation. You're still going to plug in your answer. So in this question, we found out, we said the x was 1. So let's see if we're right. We're going to plug it in. All we did was plug in 1 where x was. Now we need to solve. -3 times 1 is going to give us a -3. Bring everything else down. -3 plus 5 is 2. 2 is equal to 2. So if both sides are equal, then our answer is correct. So x is equal to 1. We are right. Alright, try these out on your own. See what you can do.